Who's the better team, Heat or Celtics?
Woo, Heat, Celtics, Heat, Celtics. I thought long and hard about this one, and I derived this clear answer. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Right.
And Slick Rick, this isn't a I don't know because I don't feel like putting in the work. This is after putting in as much energy, effort, and possible into a question, I derived that I have absolutely no idea which team is better. Acho, how you don't know? Because in game one, the Heat were up by 20, and there were only 3 lead changes in that game. In game two, the Celtics were up by 34, and there was 1 lead change in that game. In game 3, the Heat were up by 26, and there were no lead changes in that game. In game 4, the Celtics were up by 32, and there were no lead changes in that game. I do not know. And if we're being honest, I can't wait to hear my gentleman and my colleague and my scholars' answers, because I don't think they know either. We come on this show and we're supposed to give y'all an eloquent, concise, delightful for the mind, mentally stimulating answer. But after all of my legwork, all of my research, all of my time, Slick, I don't know. Jayson Tatum, he balls in game 4, he falls in game 3. Jimmy Butler, he balls in game 1, he disappears in game 3. I do not know. Is Eric Spoelstra the better coach? Is Ime Udoka the better coach? Does Boston have the best bench? Does Miami have the better bench? Grant Williams, he gonna give you 27, he gonna give you 7. Pritchard, does he belong in the Navy or is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? I don't know. So Slick. You are the astute analyst, Sel. You are an astute talent. Somebody tell me, because genuinely, I ain't got a clue.
All right, let's say take all of that, everything that you said, all of those variables, let's take that bouillabaisse and let's put it in a pot. And what do we come out with? When we boil it all down, when we let it simmer, and we get it to that baseline, right? What do we have? Well, we have a couple things. Number one, Acho. How many blowouts have there been in this series so far?
I would say 3. You could say 2, though. You could say 2.
Okay, let's say 2. Okay. Since we're talking about 20-point plus, we've had 2 of those. Yep. Who's been on the winning end of those 2 blowouts?
Boston, sir.
Boston on both of those.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This entire series has been dictated by how the Boston Celtics play. And
True.
I'm not going to bore you with the ins and outs of the percentages, but if you look at how Miami, I'm going to throw game 4 out because that was a crazy game. And starting out, ahead 18-1, Miami missing their first 14 shots. That was the distinction is that Miami had a 2-1 lead after 3 games. And how could that be? And if you look at how Miami played over those first 3 games, the numbers don't vary. They shot virtually the same from 3 and overall. Turnovers the same. Rebounding fairly the same. Free throws fairly the same. The difference in those 3 games was Boston, which had a wide variable. Now, here's the great distinction. When Boston plays at its best, Miami cannot meet it. Miami simply is that steady engine. We're going to keep playing this way. And Boston has been up and down massively. They've been on the roller coaster. But if you take everything these teams have done in the playoffs to this point, including against each other, and you take the ratings, it makes it pretty clear who not only is the better team in this series, but who is the better team in the playoffs overall. These are the net playoff ratings to this point. And while we are impressed by everything that the Warriors have done, they are doing it against the worst remaining team. Meanwhile, you've got the Boston Celtics, who knocked off the Brooklyn Nets with 2 championship-winning players in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Then they knocked off the actual defending champions in the Milwaukee Bucks. And now they're up against the Miami Heat team that was in the finals just 2 years ago. Doing that or playing against all of that and then producing this gives you the clear idea of who the better team is in this series, and I'd say right now who the better team is remaining in these playoffs.
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you, Slick. Acho, man, around all those smart people this weekend, 60,000 in attendance, over 6,500 graduating, and you had to think long and hard on this one. You don't know, but as Jay-Z once said, I know, and I know. Ooh. You want that old thing back? Here we go. It's the Celtics. It's not even close, really. It's not even hard. We're just trying to make a conversation, I guess, and fill some time. Let me give it to you like this. Do you know that the Miami Heat have only won 3 quarters in this entire series? 4 games, that means 16 quarters. Miami Heat have only won 3. And one of them was the 4th quarter of Game 4 we just saw, which means basically it was over and we didn't even care. 2 quarters, basically, of game. They've been out-rebounded by 29, outscored. Yes, the Celtics have scored more points in it, shot better from the field and from 3. As Slick said, when the Celtics play, it's a wrap. The thing is, they haven't played every single game. Or, more importantly, I know what to look for, so therefore it's not that hard to see this. When Robert Williams plays, they've won the last 2 games because Robert Williams was in the lineup. Remember, he missed the Game 3, bam, goes off. Robert Williams shows up again, Game 4? Not so fast. This has come down to the intensity of the Boston Celtics. They're a more balanced, deeper team, crazy enough. And also it comes down to really, if you want to say an X factor, it's not Jaylen Brown who's leading and scoring or Tatum responding and rebounding from bad games or Smart and his intensity. It's actually that presence of Robert Williams as well. It's been a great coincidence, or that's the reason why these Celtics are in this position right now, 2-2. All they have to do is stay activated mentally, let Robert Williams play, and they will advance.
Y'all, that all sounds good, but to me, y'all are giving a lazy answer. I'm not saying that your answer isn't right, Slick. I'm not saying your answer isn't right, Sel. But, Slick, remember at Dartmouth, Sel, remember at Columbia. We didn't have to do such a thing at Texas. At Dartmouth and Columbia, y'all were not only asked to give an answer, but you were asked to do what, Slick? To show your work.
Show your work.
Show your work. Y'all are giving me the answer. And, in fact, your answer might be right, but here's the problem. I don't like your work. Your work is wrong. What? You can't tell me that the Celtics are unequivocally the better team when they trail by 20 in Game 1. You can't tell me that the Celtics are unequivocally the better team when they trail by 26 in Game 3 and don't lead at any point in time. Slick, what I love about track and field, the short sprints, Slick, some about the short sprints, but to the naked eye, it's very unimpressive, Slick Rick. Why? Because to the naked eye, you just see some people running. Anybody can run, but anyone can run, but sprinting is a skill. What we've been watching in these first 4 games is a bunch of people running. They're not really playing basketball to me, Slick. Like, the Boston Celtics are not playing nearly as they played against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Miami Heat are not playing nearly as well as they played against the 76ers. We're not even really watching hoopers hoop. We just watching cats running a street race. So I don't even like assessing this caliber of ball because it's not good ball. Heat starters combined for 18 points. That's pathetic. That shouldn't be in an NBA game, particularly a playoff game, especially if Jimmy Butler's a starter. So I cannot come out here and quantify this type of horrible performances. Slick, go back to your days playing. Sel, go back to yours. I vividly remember, and I'll end with a quick story. Slick, when I was in college, we would have roughly 24 periods of practice. 24 periods of practice. Each period would be maybe 6, 8, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be. But the worst thing that could ever happen during the course of a college practice was you get about 8 periods in and you blow the whistle and you got to start over. And coach says, throw all that tape out. Like, we're practicing so bad that coach makes us start over and he don't even look at the tape. These first 4 games in my mind have been so bad that I can't even look at the tape. So if y'all want to assess it because we get paid to do so, by all means, just know you can't show the work because your answer is an answer just based on something that has no reliable data.
So what you said is why I threw out Game 4, because Game 4 really was where we saw the Miami Heat fall down and look terrible. They haven't looked terrible prior to Game 4, right? Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, they weren't great, but they were good. They were consistently good. The Boston Celtics have been great and not very good at all, particularly when it came to Game 3. Now, I know, Acho, that you appreciate the psychological aspects of the game and how they impact the way a team or a player plays. And that's what we have seen here. The Boston Celtics came into this series and had to play game one without Marcus Smart and without Al Horford, two of their most physical, their leaders, if you will. And they lost, but they were competitive. So they come into game two, and they've got Marcus Smart and Al Horford, and they're thinking, well, we know that we're better with Marcus Smart and Al Horford, and they proved it in game two. Now they're going, and not in a big way, blow out the Miami Heat on their home floor. Now you're going home, game three. We just blew them out down there. We had a full complement, and now we're coming home. This is a wrap. And they played exactly like that. They showed the inexperience or whatever it is. They took a step back because they thought, we've got this. Miami can't play with us. And they lost game three. And then they had something to prove again, and they went and they blew their doors off. So, again, Miami Heat fans are going to take great exception to this. They're going to find all kinds of reasons to say, you're not giving us the respect we deserve. It's 2-2. We had the best record during the regular season. I'm just looking at the comparable talent and the highs and lows of these respective teams. The Boston Celtics highs are just higher than the Miami Heat. Yeah. And when they decide to raise their level to that, it's no contest. When they don't, it's with anybody in the NBA. You can get beat if you don't play your game. And the Boston Celtics are so confident against the Miami Heat that they keep letting their guard down, or at least they let their guard down in game three. That's essentially the game where they gave this away. You take that out and you look at it and you go, clearly the Boston Celtics with a full complement are the better team.
Yeah, man. Acho, you hit me in the heart. It hurt. You said we gave some lazy takes. Oh, man. Lazy is like when I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, Acho, give me the remote. And you're like, dog, you can just lean forward off the damn couch and get it. But I'm not giving you that take. I'm giving you the take like this, the remote right here, dog. What you talking about? Change this. This is simple. These are the Celtics as the better team. Let me tell you why. Who was the better team? We know the answer, but let's just be rhetorical here. Warriors or Grizzlies? Warriors. Did the Warriors lose to the Grizzlies by 39 in a closeout game? Did the Warriors find themselves down by 55 in a closeout game? You know why? Because human beings are playing sports. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. But in this one, even though there are uneven times where the math is not mathing, as Acho likes to say, we know what it is. Just simply grab the remote and turn this channel, because this one is a wrap. The Boston Celtics, Slick said it best. Game one with no Horford and Smart, they walked out of that game and said, oh, we know we better than them once we get our boys back. Instead of thinking to themselves, okay, you still got to always show up. So game two, they smash them. Game three, told you we know we're better. You always got to show them, remember? Game three, bap. And then here we go, game four, we know we're better. Boom. Now this is about maturity, growing pains, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of talent, in terms of aggregate collective greatness, it's more on the Boston Celtics side than the Heat. And I say there's a disparity as well. When you win 13 out of 16 quarters in terms of playing basketball and points scored, I think that's enough evidence. I think that's enough for you to go out there and clearly see it. Hey, Acho, remote right there. Not that lazy.